All right, today's daf is daf Kuf Yud Beis. We are going to begin. We started yesterday Agezel and Michael. Okay. We're holding the last line of Kuf Yud Aleph Amud Beis. Omar Mar. The Gemara continues. Omar Mar. Yeah, the Brisa said that Gzela Kayemes, if the stolen item is still Kayem is still there, then Chayav Nashalim, the Yarshim, are obligated to pay. Let us say that this is a tiyufta to the opinion of Rabbi Bar Kamah, since according to what he said the Yarshim should be pater from paying because the stolen item is considered to have Shini Rishus when they inherited it, and therefore Shini Rishus is it's not their issue. The father Ganvid, he died, and now they're Yarshind it. So they said if the Gzela is Kayim, the Chayav Mashalom has to pay it back. So the Rabbi Bar Kamah said they don't have to. That rice is talking about Lifnei Yush. This is before the owners were miyayish of retrieving their property. So the Yarshim did not acquire the stolen property because the owners were not miyayish. Rabbi teaches the statement of Rabbi Bar Kamah with regards to this. If their father left the money, that he obtained this money by taking, he was a loan shark, taking interest. Now, which is obviously usher. Even though if they are aware that the money is from interest, they're not obligated to return the money to the I guess the leva who paid for it. This is to say that the domain of a Yerush is comparable to the domain of a purchaser, and because the money had changed domains, the Yarshim have acquired it. So that's what he said. If the even though they know it's ribis, they do not have to return it. And this is what Rabbi Bar Kamah says, that Rishus Yedish is Rishus Lekeach, and therefore, since it was Mishal Rishus, they do not have to return it. Rabbi says, I can tell you that the domain of a Yerish is not comparable to the domain of a purchaser. Here, the reason why they do not have to return the money is because it's different over here. The says, take no interest in him or increase.
So the Mela is was.
So this teaches
us.
The
one that took it.
Oh, so what does it teach us? Ahadale, which teaches us that he has to return the interest to him. So that he may live with you. Since the ribis is returned for this reason and not because it's considered stolen goods, so the Teda cautioned him. In other words, the Malva, the lender, the Teda does not caution his son to return it. Now, the Gemara says like this: the one who teaches Rabbi Bar Kamah's statement with regards to the Brisa, Father Bar Kamah, Kol Shekin HaMastisin, and the more so would apply to the Mishnah, since there is no other explanation for why the Yerush are exempt from payment. According to the one who teaches Rabbi Bar Kamah's statement with regards to the Mishnah, but with regards to the Brisa, he holds Rami Bar Kamah Kirava Masnila. He holds that Rabbi Bar Kamah teaches it as explained by Rava, that the Yershim are pater from payment because the domain of the Yerush is comparable to the domain of a Lekeach. Not because that, but rather because the Yerush are never required to return ribis. Now the father, with regards to a person who robs another food and he feeds it to his children. The children are pater from paying the owner. If, in the case where he left the stolen items to them as an inheritance, so the beginning it was Agezel Michael Sabonim, so that's Pturim L'Shalom. If he left over the food as a Yerusha, then Gedalim. If the Yerushaim are adults, then Chayom L'Shalom, they're obligated to pay. Ketanim, and if they are Ketanim, then Pturim L'Shalom, they are pater from paying. From Amru Gedalim, and if the adults Yerushaim said, Ein An Yedim Sheben Shechishav, we do not know the calculations our father made with you, whether he paid for the goods or not, then they are pater from paying. Gemara says, because they say we don't know what our father did, they're pater. Since it's clear that they're in a possession of gneva, stolen property, how can they be pater? Because they claim that maybe the father repaid, maybe he didn't. They don't know that. So Amarava, Rabbi says, this is what the Gemara means. Gedalim Shamru. When we say the adults, Yershim, who said, what does that mean? We know the calculations our father made with you, and there's nothing of yours left with him, because he repaid the chayiv to you. So they are exempt. Tanya Yidach was taught another brayso. Person who robs another of food and feeds it to his children, the children are potter from paying. And if he left stolen items to them as a Yerusha and they consumed it, so whether they're adults or minors, they are obligated to pay the owner. Are minors obligated to pay? Let it be like the case where one caused damage and a cotton who causes damage is potter. This is what it means to say. If he left stolen items to them as Yerusha, and they did not eat them, so they are going to be chayiv. Why? Because they're still around. Rava says, in the case of children whose fathers died and left them a cow that he had borrowed, they may use it the entire duration of the loan. Mesa, if it died, they're not chayiv to pay if its death was caused by an unavoidable incident. Even though we say a shayla is chayiv for damage caused by einus, because the liability of einus damage pertains only to the actual owner, which is the father who died.
They thought that's the
so therefore, the father left them at parashula. So they can use it.
They had no idea that shayla.
They had idea, but the father was the shayla, not the kid. So shayla is taka chayav and einus, but they are not. So now he says kispurim shalavim. If the children thought it actually belonged to their father, and they shechted and ate it, they're chayav to pay the owner of the value in inexpensive meat. If the father left them guaranteed property, in other words, he left them karka, land, then they're chayav to pay. Okay, now, some say that the final statement of Rabbi was with regards to the first case of the Mishnah, or the Brayso, which states that the Yershim are potter from paying for einus. According to this pshat, if the father left them land, then they are obligated to pay for the cow if it dies due to einus. So, Nachamah. If you say Areisha, which means that the Yershim are potter from paying for einus, if the father left them karka, then they're going to be chayav to pay for the cow if it dies by einus. Now, some say it's with regards to the later clause, which states that a Yedish who shechs and eats the cow, so we say has to pay the owner the value of the meat, the lower meat. So the pshat is, if the father left them land, they must pay the full value of the cow. Now, for sure, if it holds true of the first case, so how much more so the second one, which the Yershim actually consumed the meat himself. Upligi did a papa. And according to this understanding, they argue on a papa. This is consistent with the opinion of Rav Papa. Rav Papa says, if he had a stolen cow in his possession, and he shechted it on Shabbos, chayiv is chayiv. Why? Chayiv b'gneva. So if he had a stolen cow in his possession, he shechted on Shabbos. He stole the cow. Let's say before Shabbos, and he shechted on Shabbos. He's chayiv to pay. Why? We don't say kom le'b'dramine because shekvar chayiv b'gneva kedem shavli Isser Shabbos. He already was chayiv for theft before he came to be over the Isser of Shabbos, of shechting an animal. But if he had a borrowed cow in his possession, and he shechted it on Shabbos, so if it was borrowed, if it was stolen, is one thing. We said the stealing came before the shechita. But if it was borrowed, then Shabbos, and then he shechted on Shabbos, he's going to be patur. Why? Because we say that the isser against shechting an animal and the isser against stealing an animal, that came together. So what is...
Potter means good. Kamah Daf is Mitzat Chiyuv. Mitzat Geneva, that the person is
yeah, that's Kamah Daf. He doesn't have to pay the lesser damage because he is already getting killed or cut us. If it's buying kechad.
Because the person is out of the animal.
So with
so you're talking about not even giving back the Karen?
Yeah.
I'm talking about cable or anything like that. I'm talking about the Karen.
Yeah, that's the word of
Kommen Rabbi hat something Karen, something with a knas.
That's it. So what comes out from here? According to the Papa, a borrower's liability to pay for oinus damage is initiated only when the damage is so like this. So in the case discussed by Rabbi, since the damage was not okay, let's go right there. All right, having cited the two brises that bring the difference, the opinion with regards to the obligation of the Yoshim to pay for property stolen by their father when he died, the Gemara now says a third brisa presenting both opinions. It says, and he shall restore the item that he robbed. What is the meaning of that he robbed? He has to return the same item that he robbed. From here we learn, in the case of one who robs another of food and feeds it his children, to the Mashalim, you're sputter from paying the owner. If he left the stolen goods as a Yerusha, whether they are adults or minors, they are obligated to return the stolen items. Bar Chamud Reb Yirmiyah Trak Gala B'Apid Reb Yirmiyah, the son of Reb Yirmiyah's father-in-law, his wife's brother, who was a cotton, shut the doors of his father's house before Reb Yirmiyah in order to prevent Reb Yirmiyah from establishing a chazak of the house that he claimed belonged to him. So Reb Yirmiyah came before Reb Yirmiyah to make a dintate against his brother-in-law. Amar Reb Avin said to Reb Yirmiyah, your brother-in-law is claiming ownership of that which is his, since he retains the ownership of his father's house upon the father's death. So later, Rabbi said to him, but I can bring you witnesses who testify that I took possession of during his father's lifetime. You can't accept testimony before Dintata, since the defendant is a katan. His presence is not legally recognized, and the basin does not accept testimony against him. We taught that whether they're adults or minors, they're obligated to pay the owner. If the basin obligates minors to pay, it must accept testimony about him. So I'm there. Sumchas disputes is at his side. In other words, Sumchas disagrees with the halacha that holds that the katan are exempt from paying. And Amar, Rabbi Yirmiyah said to him, did the whole world go to the effort to hold in accordance with the opinion of Sumchas in order to seize what is mine? Now, in the meantime, the matter circulated. Also, it came before the Bavo, Amar, who said, did you not hear what Rabbi Yosef Bar Chama says that Rabbi Yeshua says? Rabbi Yosef Bar Chama, Rabbi Yeshua, Tinik Shetaka Bavadav. He says like this. He says, in regards to that child who took his slaves, and again, Tinik Shetaka Bavadav, a child who took his slaves, and a child who took his slaves and descended into the field of another and said to him, it's mine. So the basin doesn't say let us wait until it matures before we assess his claim. The basin removes it from his possession immediately. And when he matures, let him bring Aiden to test his claim that he will see. So similar, Rabbi Yirmiyah should be have the same machlekes, or should be awarded this disputed property until his brother-in-law, who's a minor, could come to Beis Din. So where it says, "Me dummy," how could you compare the two cases? It's there in the case of Rabbi Yosef in Rabbi Yosef Bar Chama's case that in there in Rabbi Yosef's case that we seize the property from him to because there's no chazaka of ownership from his father. In the case where there's a chazaka from his father, we do not seize the property. Since Rabbi Yirmiyah's brother-in-law has a chazaka of ownership due to the fact that his property belongs to his father, he retains control of the property. Okay, so now, having mentioned the issue of testimony when the Baldin is not there, the Gemara now discusses this in greater detail. The Beis Din accepts witnesses in the absence of the Baldin. Not in the absence of the litigants. So Rabbi Yechon wondered at the statement of Rashi. Does the Beis Din in fact accept witnesses in the absence of the litigants? Kibla minad Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina. Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina received the following guideline from Rabbi Yechon. Beis Din accepts testimony in the absence of the defendant only in the case where the Tevea was a chayla, or his witnesses were ill, or his witnesses wished to travel overseas, and the Dayanim sent for the defendant and he did not come. Since there's a concern that the Tevea will not be able to present his claim at a later date, so then the testimony is acceptance when the nitva is not there. The Beis Din accepts witnesses in the absence of the litigants. Mar Ukva said, the statement was explained to me personally by Shmuel himself. Again, it applies in the case where the Beis Din opened his case and sent for him. Also, but he did not appear. But if it did not yet open the case for him, what's our Malay? And we say to the Tevei, no, the Beis Din, I want to go to a different Beis Din. I'll go to the higher Beis Din to resolve this case, and I don't want to go to your Beis Din. So then, even when the Beis Din already opened the case for him, what's the Amarle? You should also be able to say to him, I'm going to the high Beis Din to resolve this case. Ravina says, the nitva cannot defer an open case of Beis Din Agadol. For example, the local Beis Din obtained a license, a diska from the higher Beis Din, authorizing not to basically take this case. Okay, Omar Rav says, the Beis Din could be Mekayim, could ratify the documents when the Baldin are not there. You're not allowed to ratify the document in the absence of the litigants. He says, I'll explain Rabbi Yechon's reasoning to you. The pasuk says, and a warning has been given to his owners, and he has not secured it. The Torah says, let the owner of the ox come and stand by his ox when the testimony about his ox is provided. So a document may be ratified only in the presence of the individual it implicates. Amar Rav says, the halacha is that the Beis Din could be Mekayim Ashtar in the absence of the Baldin. And in his case, even if the other litigant stands and screams to protest the document, see that it's Mezuyaf. And if he said, Nikitu li zimna ad maisina sadi umarana le'lishtara, give me time until I bring witnesses and disqualify the document, we give him time before forcing him to pay. If he has come with witnesses within the time allotted, he has come, and the Beis Din reviews them accordingly. And if he does not come with the time, then we give him basically 3 days to bring the witnesses, and the Beis Din, which is Monday, Thursday, and Monday. Now, if he's not come after Monday, Thursday, and Monday, we write a document of chedem against him for 90 days. During the first 30 days, we do not descend his property to collect the chev. The Amrina, as the Beis says, Kadarach B'Sus Ibn Esav. He's occupied with borrowing money to pay his chayv. During the middle of the 30 days as well, we do not descend to the property. The Amar, as the Beis says, perhaps he did not find someone to borrow from, and he's trying to sell his property to pay the chayv. In the final 30 days as well, we do not descend to his property. The Amar, the Beis says, the purchaser himself is occupied with obtaining the money so that he can pay the chayv for the sale, and the chayv will then pay, the leiva will pay the malva. Loi asa, if the leiva still did not come to pay his chayv after 90 days, because we read a document of authorization allowing the malva to collect his due from any property. Yeah. And this statement applies in a case where the leiva said, I'm coming to pay, and then he doesn't actually come and pay. If he says, I'm not coming, we immediately write a document of authorization without waiting for 90 days. Now, but this is with regards to a loan. With regard to deposit, we write a document of authorization immediately. Since, the Gemara says, and when we write a document of authorization, this is only to borrower's land. But with regards to movable property, the basin does not draft such a document. The reason is that perhaps the creditor will seize and consume the borrower movable's property. When the borrower later comes and brings witnesses and thereby invalidates the creditor's document, he will not find anything to collect in order to retrieve his money. Now, and if the creditor owns land, we write a document authorizing the creditor to collect from any of the property that belongs to the borrower, including metalton. The Gemara says, and this is not so. The basin does not draft a document of authorization with regards to movable property, even if the creditor has land. We are concerned lest the creditor's land depreciate in value, and the borrower will be unable to retrieve his money. Now, the Gemara teaches another halacha. When we write a document of authorization, we inform the party that it's chayav to pay. And this matter applies when he is nearby. But if he's distant, the basin does not notify him before authorizing the creditor. And if he's distant, other relatives of his nearby, or if there are caravans that go to the borrower's current location and return, then we delay issuing this document of authorization for 12 months of the year until the caravan goes and returns. So that if he wishes to make a claim, he can do so. So the case where Ravina delayed for the 12 months of the year before issuing a document of authorization until a caravan went and returned to Bechazai. It says, and this is not so. Hassam there, Ravina delayed issuing the document because the creditor was a violent man. You have a document of authorization would come into his possession. He would not be possible to take it from him if the borrower would prove that the original document was invalid. But here, in the general case, here, we wait only if he's close enough to be informed within a day. So the basin decides to issue, let's say, the thing on Monday. A messenger would go and inform the defendant on Tuesday, and he would come from his location to the basin on Wednesday and stand before the basin on Thursday. So if the chayv is more than a day's travel, however, the basin does not trouble itself to notify him. Ravina says, "Hai shlucha d'Rabbanan mehaminan le'ikibeitrei." Now, when you have an agent of the Chachamim was sent to summon the to bring Azmana. It's like two witnesses. If he says that the defendant refuses to come to Beis Din, and this applies only with regards to excommunication. Now, the psicha, with regards to the issue of chedem, since it causes the defendant loss of money, as he must give money to the sefer for drafting the document. Like the agent is not deemed chayiv. Ravina says, we give a defendant a particular time to appear in Beis Din by informing him the trial by word of mouth from a woman or from his neighbor. These people are trusted to notify the nitva of the Hazman of the Beis Din. And we said this only that the defendant is not in the same city. If the nitva is in the city, like the Beis Din does not put him chedim for failing to respond to the summon by Beis Din through a woman or a neighbor. Because we say, perhaps they did not tell him that they got out his mana to Beis Din. The Amri, as they said to themselves, the Beis Din, sent the defendant into the city. And the Beis Din has already found him and told him. Already told him. As a result, these unofficial messengers will not deliver the Beis Din summons to the defendant at all. We'll do a little bit more. And we said this, the Beis Din will put him in chedim only in a case where he does not pass by the Beis Din's entrance on his home. But if he does pass the Beis Din's entrance, like, we do not say this. And we say that he passes, that since he passes the Beis Din, the Beis Din has already found him and told him. And we said this, that the Beis Din will put him in chedim when one does not, only in a case where he comes home on the same day. But if he does not come on the same day, why? Because we say that they forgot to notify him.